It says live. There it goes.
Oh, look, it's already freezing.
Yeah. Who knows what it's going to happen today. So this is, I labeled it Take 4 ? I'm not quite sure how many times we've tried to get this out. So hopefully it works today.
So I put Witches Social Part 3, 4, 5, 6. Not entirely sure.
Not entirely sure.
We're doing spirit
we're a little
guides.
lost. Spirit guides. Yeah, back to the topic.
Yes, we were very frustrated yesterday because we had to cut things short with our spirit guide topic. Hopefully everyone joins us again today and we can get through like the whole live video without disappearing on you. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, just putting up your phone number, 226-931-1419 if anybody wants to call in.
Yes, I have my phone here, so give us a call if you want to chat.
Yeah, hi.
If you just want to type it in, by all means, communicate that way.
Yeah, you can text or type in, however you want to do this.
Yeah.
We have Jen on and Charmaine on already. Hello, it's good to see you guys again. April, very familiar names that are coming across. Yeah. You guys have been with us
since we
all
started
along,
this.
and
That's fantastic.
It's been pretty cool.
Yeah. Since we went live anyways.
Yeah.
Witches Social has always been something we did in-house, in person.
Yes.
But we are doing it live because of the restrictions.
Yep, because of lockdown.
And we're actually doing it more frequently. We used to only do it once a month, but
now we're doing it every day.
Every day at 2 p.m. just to keep everyone on board and engaged and doing something fun and spiritual during the day.
Yeah.
So
Melissa, Linda, Amy, Kim, hi,
guys.
hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
We've been talking quite a bit with Pat already today.
She's been helping us with our internet.
Yes. So, and I see it is dropping in and out here through the signal. Now, I did discover something yesterday after spending a good hour with our internet service provider, and they're saying, nope, everything looks good on our end. All for the last week and a half or so, they've been doing work out front of our building on the road, on the corner there.
Yeah, little
and
construction.
I popped out just to chat with them while I was shoveling the sidewalk, and one of the guys was walking by. So I asked what was going on, and they're fixing a bell hub basically underneath the ground there. Something was going wrong. There was some rot, some issues there. So he says, oh yeah, we've been messing up those cables, something fierce. They've been dropping in and out. So never quite sure who to believe anymore when it comes to this. It's everybody's pointing fingers saying it's not us, it's them. And I don't know. All I know is that we pay a lot of money for internet, and it frustrates us when it doesn't work. So
okay, so what happens today if it kind of cuts out on us?
Smoke
what
signals.
are we going to do? Smoke signals?
We're going to set a fire downtown. Right. And
Don't say that. We'll have the police here in no time. Stop.
We'll waft the smoke, and you guys can interpret it that way. No, I don't know. I mean,
do you want to jump on your phone?
We can do that
instead. So if we do cut out and we have to leave the video because of it's on our end.
Yep.
We will jump right back on, but through our phones.
Yep.
Because they never conk out on us.
No.
So.
No, Rogers is better than Bell. Wow. Never would have thought that.
Yeah.
Okay. Reggie says hi. Graham's back on. Hi guys.
Nice to see you guys.
Good to see you guys. Okay. Do we recap? Let's recap,
guys. Okay. So hang on though. First, we did ask you yesterday to let us know if you have a spirit guide. And tell us a little bit about that spirit guide. If you're open to sharing, we would love to hear it. That's the whole point of these socials, is to communicate. Okay. And then Jeremy will just give a little recap of what we kind of already discussed yesterday. And I don't know, we'll take it from there.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. I'll bring the marshmallows to the fire. Yes.
We were watching on a completely unrelated topic. We were watching World's Most Extraordinary Homes. It was a British show where they were traveling through Spain, and they were showing off some of the really eclectic houses in that area, and it was really quite interesting. There was one that was made completely out of recycled steel and stuff. It was very warm and cold at the same time. It was a very unusual artistic take, but the thing that you liked about it was in the common area is this massive floor space with this flue that had to have been probably 5 foot by 5 foot square, and you could have like a bonfire right in the middle of this house, and it would just, all the smoke would just go up the flue.
Right on
Pretty amazing.
the floor. You can like lay down beside it. It was beautiful. I really liked it.
Melissa asks if we're able to tether the internet on our phone, like mobile hotspot, connect the laptop to your hotspot. Yes, we are capable of doing that. However, it comes at a great cost of data. So
sucks up data.
As soon as you hook up a tablet or a computer to your phone for a mobile hotspot, it really jumps up there. Are we with Quick? I will not confirm or deny that we are with Quick.
I already said it yesterday,
yes.
And I'm sorry, guys,
yeah.
But I was upset.
We were funky. It wasn't working at home. It wasn't working here. We did have a technician. We were late getting to work this morning because we had a technician come to the house to see about our cable. We are with Quick. It's something that they're rolling out, and they're doing cable instead of DSL as well. Like you could do either, and so we upgraded to cable. And after 12 hours of flawless, beautiful internet, it stopped working too with cable. I'm like, are you kidding me? What's going on? So we called and tried to get all that resolved, and it was on and off, and then it was just off for a couple days. So then today the technician came and he said, no, that's really strange because you've got strong connection all through the house. It's got to be a modem issue. And I'm like, of course it is, because that's the only thing left.
Stop. No more
internet. We're going to get all wound up here. No more internet.
Just, if we cut out,
we'll be right back
with a more reliable source.
There you go.
And recap from yesterday, we tried to talk about spirit guides. So
here we go with spirit guides.
Have at it.
All right. So what we kind of discussed yesterday about spirit guides essentially is we connect with spirit guides in ways that we are comfortable and familiar with. You might not necessarily choose your spirit guide. It might become apparent to you through, whether it's through dream work, through spell work, however, maybe you just had this sense of an energy or a presence all around you. The Christian idea of a guardian angel, these are all forms of spirit guides. We talked about animals being totems or spirit guides for us as well. We talked about
multiple spirit guides.
Exactly.
And I'm just going to, I didn't get to all the comments yesterday, but I did see one from Linda.
Yes.
If you remember that comment, Linda, can you just put it out there again?
If I remember, it was that some spirit guides only come with us for a period of time.
For like a short lesson or a moment of need or companionship. So I just thought that comment that Linda made yesterday was discussion. It was valuable and it needed to be said again. And since it's not on here today, then...
I think it was in context to the conversation that we were having about how long do spirit guides last? How long do they stick around for?
That's kind of where we left off, right?
It's where everything was breaking up and fell apart. So, before I get to that point, I guess we'll go back to the idea of what the spirit guides are, because we do see them in multiple forms and multiple ideas across multiple cultures or spiritual beliefs. It's not unusual for different spiritual beliefs to have the idea of a spirit guide of some sort. Even the idea of Christianity with angels or the indwelling of the Holy Spirit as being part of that spirit communication that connects us with the divine in some way, a higher power, a higher life force. It's that communication aspect, I believe, that sort of takes place. Within Catholicism, you would see this perhaps on the intercession of the faith, or of the saints, the way they communicate and they appeal to certain saints to advocate for them to a higher authority. Because of who we are and the way we operate, we don't necessarily look at that as being our practice. What I like as for us, for spirit guides, is a way to connect with something divine, but it's more like that shared experience situation that comes from being a solitary practitioner. I do my practice privately. It's a very intimate, very private thing. But if I have that awareness of spirit communication taking place, a spirit guide, an energy of some sort that is there, a part of it, I'm not alone in that aspect. And I thought that was a really interesting insight that we provided yesterday, and I thought that was worth touching on. Can a guide be a guide to more than one person? Since we were discussing kind of the idea that you could, I believe it's all the same thing. I believe it's all energy. I don't necessarily think it's only one person or one aspect.
My question would be, is this like within the family? Like maybe you have the same guide as your child,
Sure.
or as a parent, or as a sibling. Is that what you're kind of referring to, Charmaine? Or are you talking like your guide versus my guide? Are they the same ones?
So if we're looking at it like a fairy godmother kind of idea, the question then would be, can one fairy godmother have several different, now I'm really downplaying the the role here, but for the purpose of kind of wrapping and compartmentalizing our mind around it, you would think that one fairy godmother to one person, right? Or one guardian angel to one person.
I don't know. I don't think they do that with the guardian angel, because you're talking about specific angels, and they are there for specific reasons. They all have a purpose. These angels have a spiritual purpose, so you would be asking for blessings or praying to those specific angels for that reason. So they would have more than one person that they are servicing.
There's several ways you can certainly look at that. I would look at the idea of, if your ancestors, for example, play that part of that spiritual connection role, then it would make sense that if we all embrace the idea that the grand matriarch of the family, the grandmother, is our spirit guide, well, of course I would share it with other siblings or other people in our family, because we all hold to that appeal. But if you don't if you don't look at it as being like an ancestor, I don't know. It's a real challenge.
I think it depends on the culture, because even in native culture, you'd be drawing from the same totems and spirit guides and animals.
Toltec wisdom, they do draw from the animal aspect. Any shamanic belief structure really looks at the animal energies as being the spirit guides, and that's what kind of governs and dictates our connectivity to the spirit world. Even the Native American traditions too, they look at that as well. I think I'm getting lost in some of the comments here. So I'm just going to catch up real quick here. Pat says, if anyone's interested, there's an awesome book by Stephen D. Farmer called Animal Spirit Guides, covers the entire subject of animals. That's fantastic. Nice. Graham says, our internet issues, all the witches flying around disrupting the signal. Real quick. Sharon says hi. And I thought this is pretty amazing. Graham, actually, you mentioned, I know you won't agree, but I am my own spirit guide. And the funny thing is, we kind of discussed this yesterday, and it's not that I disagree with that at all.
No, I agree with that 100%.
I believe that sometimes the messages that come to me come from a variation or an aspect of myself. We did discuss how we share the idea that time is non-linear. At all times, we are both in the past, the present, and the future. And I think that sometimes, because we live very much in the present right now, when we feel a connection with spirit communication of some sort, a spirit guide, whatever that might be, sometimes it's our own messages coming back from a different point.
Own energies.
A great example of this would be deja vu. Who hasn't had deja vu? And a lot of times it's a recognition of being here before. And whether it's just a in the moment little hiccup in our brain that says, oh, I'm echoing this, or whether you recognize that you dreamed it when you were younger, or possibly that it's still going to happen later, but you're actually living it simultaneously right now. It's a bit of a mind bend.
I think it's a great philosophy that Graham brings up, because me personally, I don't have a spirit guide. I've not created one. One has not come to me. When I work my magical workings, when I'm needing the guidance, it's usually my own energy, my own strength that kind of walks me through things. I also rely a lot on the universe and the symbols that are around me. So maybe call that my spirit guide. I think it's just all in how we view things.
We pose the idea that our spirit guides come to us in forms that we're comfortable and familiar with, and that doesn't necessarily mean that is the pure energy that they are. Jen says here, I think my brother and I share my grandparents as spirit guides.
Yes.
And while I wouldn't say that that's not true, I would also say that perhaps the energy of what is your spirit guide comes to you in something that you're comfortable and familiar with, such as your grandparents. And that doesn't mean that you aren't sharing the same spirit guide either, but it's something that wouldn't freak you out, something that wouldn't throw you off of your game or rattle you in any way. And that's pretty cool.
We talk a lot about this in any of our dream workshops.
Yep.
When we're talking about spirit communication. So whether it be spirits or spirit guides, usually coming to us in a form that we're comfortable with. That's your subconscious way of processing what is taking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you didn't miss a whole lot yesterday, Graham, because we were having all kinds of internet troubles after I think 3 restarts.
There was a lot of internet talk. So honestly,
this is what we talked about yesterday, and we're just sort of catching you up before we proceed further.
If it weren't for all the comments on that feed, because there was some pretty valid comments there, I would just remove that live video, period.
Yep.
Both of them.
Well, it was still a good discussion.
It was still a good discussion with social comments, and that's why I've left it up there.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So yeah, there's Amy says she feels the same. There's always signs, and Graham's confirming. Of course, he calls on his own spirits to guide me. So yeah, and again, it's what you're familiar with, what you're comfortable with. We discussed.
So. Not a lot of people have answered, but who works with like a spirit totem or spirit animal versus a guardian angel or a spirit guide? Maybe it be a familiar relative that's passed away or just something that you've conjured or created within your energy. Can you guys
I do remember
answer that aspect for me?
I remember Amy talking yesterday, or sorry, not Amy, my goodness. Melissa was talking about the wolf totem being very significant to her.
Yes.
And we encouraged her to look up the importance and the significance of the wolf, the representation.
Did you look that up, Melissa?
Yeah. Just to see why. There is affinities, obviously. There are connections, especially when it comes to animals. If you see an animal and you connect with it in a way that is beyond just, oh, that's really cute, interesting animal. It's kitty cats. Who doesn't like a kitty cat or a puppy dog? But I don't know, maybe you're out and you have this intimate moment with a horse, and you see into its eyes and you see its soul and you feel a connection that goes beyond just, wow, that's a magnificent creature. There can be some symbolic meaning behind that, and we always encourage people to look that up. Why did you feel that affinity or that connection? Jen asks, how can you make sure you're not missing any signs or messages from your guides? It's a tricky one, because we're oblivious in so much of life. We're oblivious even in communications sometimes, talking back and forth, and we'll misunderstand each other or miss it when it's a direct communication, and it's so much more difficult when it is subtle background. If you're not listening, you are going to miss those signs. And
so this is where I differ on this opinion, because for me, I'm in control of my life. I don't require a spirit guide to direct me. Yes, I love those moments of connection, but I wouldn't classify it as missing the signs. I think if you pick up anything from a spirit guide, you're one step ahead. I don't want you to look at it that you're missing something from them. No, you've recognized the moment when you needed to recognize a message from them. The rest of the time, you got this.
Yeah.
It's all your own. It's your own energy. You're living your own life. You're doing your own thing. Your spirit guide, it's kind of like when we talk about pendulums in our pendulum workshop.
Yep.
I know people who rely on pendulums and rely on their tarot cards every single day to make choices in life. Don't treat your spirit guide like that. Don't rely on your spirit guide to make choices within your life. Rely on them for some wisdom or guidance now and then, or to help you through your spiritual workings. But ultimately, it is your life, your energy, and you are in control of it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I wouldn't see it as missing out. I differ on that aspect.
I guess it's a poor choice of words there, because I think instinctively we do sort of hear this stuff and follow it, but maybe where she was going with this is if we're actively listening, maybe how much of it are we missing, or how hard is it to find and hear these messages from spirit guides? I'd point out internet, there we go. I'd point out Jen, sorry, I blanked out as to who was actually asking the question. Yes, Jen. I would point out again to the 4 pillars of witchcraft: the power to know, to dare, to will, and to be silent. If you are approaching your connection with spirit guides with those same principles, it's going to be a very well balanced aspect. So if you're looking at doing some work for communicating with spirit guides, you're not going to miss signs or messages if you're taking all 4 of those aspects into consideration with your spirit workings. And Amy says birds, very symbolic, specifically crows. They're amazing. I love crows.
We have a couple other people in the shop that love crows, ravens. The attributes.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if it's a spirit animal, but I see cardinals all the time. I take it as a friendly hello from people past. I actually had the privilege of doing a job with one of my uncles a few years back now. As you know, I retired from bricklaying in order to take over and do this. Part of my retirement was expecting that I'd never have to lay another brick. Well, my uncle called me up and said, I need a bricklayer. And I'm like, oh, for family? Yeah, I'll do it for family. So we did this job. I did a little project with them. And at the end of it, we stood back and, we're feeling very proud and accomplished of what we did. And I looked over my shoulder and there was a cardinal. And I'm not talking, there was a cardinal way over there and I just happened to notice it. It was like unusually close. And I kind of gave him a little elbow bump and I said, your mom says hi. And I think it freaked him out a little bit. He's like, well, what do you mean? Where did that come from? And I pointed at the bird and he turned around and noticed it as well. And I kind of gave him another shoulder bump and I said, I'm just kidding. It's not that it's literally her, but that was always her favorite bird. And we just shared that little moment where it was like, you know what, if she were here to see this, she'd be just as proud and appreciative of what we've accomplished here as well. So
I guess we're kind of getting into the whole spirit animal versus a spirit totem, an animal totem.
An animal totem.
So you kind of have to...
Well, I got my message from that, so does it make it any less real?
I think it's one and the same.
I agree.
To be honest with you. I think it's one and the same. And that's how I perceive symbolism from the universe. So it's not that I don't have guidance and wisdom, I just don't have a specific spirit guiding me. I have the entire universe and Mother Nature guiding me.
Charmaine asks if anyone can be a spirit guide. Can anyone be a spirit guide? We did tackle this somewhat abstractly yesterday, where I shared that for me, smell was a big trigger. It was a affirmation. It was a confirmation of things that I was knowing that I knew, that sort of thing. And the energy around that smell, the specific smells that I triggered, were of somebody that was still alive. So in that essence, and that idea, that concept, was that, pay attention. And it's a memory of somebody who isn't passed yet, but that message was conveying through. So in a sense, it's a really unusual take on it, but the person who is still alive was in some way conveying a message through the energy of spirit to me, to pay attention, to be aware, to be forewarned that this is something that's going on in my head, etc. So literally anyone could be a spirit guide, whether they're alive, whether they're dead, whether it's an animal, whether it's something else. It's what we make it to be, I suppose, what we're familiar with, what we're comfortable with.
What we make it to be, and not just comfort. If I have a specific working that I'm doing, a specific goal, I would choose something that's going to benefit me or someone that's going to benefit me in that goal, right? Whether it be, I don't know, for educational purposes or solving problems. I mean, I would choose who I want with me to guide me in those moments. So I would say anyone, anything, any created essence could essentially be a spirit guide for sure. Yep. Hi, William. I love you, little buddy. Are you staying around this time, or are you just on to make yourself known?
He's probably already gone.
Yeah, he's probably already gone. Okay.
Yeah, Elizabeth asks, or says, so for me it's crows. I can't figure out how many caws actually means anything, or even how many crows, but I know something is up if they appear and make a lot of noise. I think that anything that draws our attention inwardly as well as environmentally looking around and bringing attention to, I'm here, I'm paying attention, and I'm aware. I look at that as being a message or a sign. One of the biggest challenges is when we suddenly recognize the essence of magic. Everything is something, and we have that it happened to me, and it happens a lot with people who come into the shop who've just explored, and they've just had that mind-blown sensation that magic is real. Then everything becomes something profound and innate. It's overwhelming, and I caution people, slow down, just let it be, and then eventually you'll start to process what's what. So for you, crows, and I would encourage you to look into that a little bit more as well. I love crows as well. Actually, I think the Norse, Viking, Icelandic traditions, the Vikings were really big about crows as well. And as far as their magic goes, it was very symbolic, based on numbers and patterns. There's actually a type of reading that's done with birds in the air. It's not one that I'm overly familiar with, but I think that's quite fascinating as well. So yeah, if that intrigues you, check it out a little bit more. Jen confirming that that's what she was trying to say, so that's good. Pat says, anytime I'm doing some magical workings, I call on guides, teachers, and ancestors to follow and guide me to my highest self. But not one in particular, just who or what is hanging around me at the time. Yeah, I think that's great. I like the idea of it from a protective aspect as well. It's just sort of allowing you to focus on what you're doing while keeping your energy safe and pure. Essentially what we do when we cast circles, for those that we've been teaching about circle casting, it's about creating a safe place, a safe environment that you're protected and pure in. And you can definitely work with spirit guides for that practice as well. Graham says he believes spirit guides can come from someone from the past, present, and can be a person in memory, an object, or even someone or an object in the presence. Anything that just talks to me, but that's just me. And you're not alone in that philosophy. That's basically what we're kind of saying as well. We did mention that if you are, we talked about actually creating your own spirit guide. If you don't have one that you're familiar with, you can actually manifest and create your own spirit guide.
Why sit around and wait for something to come? You have the ability and the strength, the power to create something. No different than your servitor magic, chaos magic, right? You're creating something to work for you. And essentially, that's what a spirit guide is someone that's going to guide you, something that's going to guide you and offer wisdom or help.
The thing we know is that you're not going to create something that's terrifying or overpowering or overwhelming to you. You want something that you're okay with. That's why whenever I've had spirit communication in the past, it's always been something that's very familiar to me, something that I've instantly felt the heart connection to. It's hard to say. There's just, I know you, I like you, I love you. It's that connection that takes place between us. And even though I think it's the same thing, it always appears in a different form, a different idea, but it's never terrifying. It's never intimidating. It's never judgmental or condescending. It's always very comforting.
You need in the moment. It's what it is. It's what you need in the moment. And again, I'll reiterate to our conversation yesterday, when I was talking to a friend of mine in the morning. In that moment, she needed a specific guide with her, and that guide was new and showed itself and comforted her in a moment during meditation. So
yeah, that was a very neat conversation that you had, actually.
I love when people share this stuff. I can't say that enough. I'm very fortunate to get to hear about other people's experiences. So
I actually took something from that and incorporated that into my meditation today too. So I know you're on listening today. So thank you for that. Actually, that was beneficial.
So familiars versus spirit guides, different or the same. Personally, I would say spirit guides, guardian angels, familiars, same thing. It just depends on the culture, the path, the religion aspects of what you believe in, what you're going to call your spirit guide. So I know a lot of witches out there who have familiars but don't have spirit guides. So a familiar is something, animal of sort. Well, in our workshop it can be anything. But most witches gather animals. to help you in your magical workings, to guide you, to keep you safe, keep you protected in both realms, here and the magical one. So for me, the same thing, but that's just one witch's personal thoughts.
Yes.
So.
And we did explore that in great depth with our MEC group as well, the idea of familiars and really what they are, the truth behind them. But then, it's
so they
very
are
enlightening.
They are very new age,
It's a
magical sort of thing. It's not old. I would say spirit guides are an older aspect than a familiar would be. So it's just same thing, different terminology, different lingo.
Sharon says, I don't have a specific spirit guide, but I've had moments or visits, and that's okay as long as you're open to that. We will never really know until one day we do, I suppose, whether they were the same thing, whether it was the same energy or multiple energies coming through and giving you a sense of awareness and peace. That's oh, Kim's jumping on saying hi to William. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Difference between a spirit guide and a guardian angel. Again, it would really depend on your beliefs, the cultures, etc. I don't think it is. I believe that the energy is the same. But then you would ask somebody else who believes in guardian angels but doesn't believe in spirit guides. They would have a different take on that. So
the only other aspect would be the purpose that has been put on that guardian angel or that saint. We'll say that as well. They have specific purposes, where a spirit guide in general can be for anything. Like I'm not up on my angels, but I know they have specific magical components.
Specific angels do.
Right.
But then there's the question is, just because those named angels are for those purposes, does that mean that there aren't millions of other angels that are designed?
Which there are, because I did enough of that research to find out the levels of angels and where they are within connection to the one true God.
So I would look at it as, if we're looking at the upper echelons of spiritual realms, the named angels that we're familiar with, or that we know the names of, Uriel, Raphael. These would all be upper management,
right? But
of
then
the angelic realms.
But then there's other aspects too, like cherubs. Worker angels. There's actual angels that are conduits between us and the superior angels.
Yes.
I did a lot of research into that. It was kind of neat, actually, to know that God has conduits.
Yes. Yeah. It's no different than the franchise employee breakdown for Walmart or something like that, if we wanted to sort of wrap our mind around it. But again, that's just our speculation. It's our take on it, because we don't have those literal answers. It's just how we're familiar. It's how we relate to them.
I think everyone's belief structure is different. Even if you do reside in a belief structure of Christianity, I think from one Christian to the next,
there would be differences.
There's differences in there. It's no different than witchcraft. From one witch to the next, there's this vast amount of knowledge and direction they can go.
Well, you know why I believe is because we don't have all the answers. We really don't. At some point, we're really basing it on speculation, and
it's always based off of another person's thought or opinion. Right? Even the craft, the Bible, it's based on one man's perception of what took place and how it happened. And and then I don't want to trickled down the line.
I don't want to sound opinionated or judgmental. That's not the purpose here.
I'm putting witchcraft and the Bible in
the
together.
Same lot.
Where do you think we learned this stuff from, right? These are from books. We've learned from books, from information passed down from one source to the next.
So that's our take on the difference between a spirit guide and a guardian angel.
Ooh, that took a bunny trip.
One and the same, in my opinion, and the same with Melinda's. Again, it's the
flavor
coating that you've wrapped it in that makes you comfortable, familiar, and whatever it is that gives you a sense of awareness, purpose, direction, strength, integrity, whatever. I would encourage you to maintain and continue that.
To embrace it.
Absolutely.
For sure. Okay, so
Melissa. The other thing that happens to me, it's a little odd. I have butterflies land on me all the time.
Hang on.
No matter how many people are around me.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Sorry, I wanted to call in and talk about one of the stories
Oh,
okay,
cool.
let
Yes.
me put you on speakerphone.
Our first call-in.
Yeah,
How exciting.
wow, our first call-in. Hang on one second.
Now, you might want to... Here, the microphone's over here.
Okay.
You might want to turn the volume down on your computer because there's probably going to be like a couple seconds delay, and that might throw you off. Okay, so yeah, you got... Yep, you're up. Hi.
No, so when I was in high school, I think it was my birthday, and my dad had said to my brother, like, give your sister a ride to school, it's her birthday, she doesn't need to take the bus. And I remember just getting, like, a feeling and, like, a sensation of, like, someone was, like, right beside me being like, don't do it. And later on that day, he had gotten in an accident. His truck rolled 30 feet, and he came out of the accident, not a single scratch, but the whole passenger side, like, if I would have been in the car, I probably wouldn't be here.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, the only part they could get off the truck was the tailgate. Everything else was smashed.
Wow.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
So little guardian angel on your shoulder there.
Yeah, for sure.
And you talked about not seeing the signs.
So now,
Not necessarily. It's because I'm in my own head all the time.
Sure.
was this a feeling? Was this a conversation in your head? Like, can you describe exactly what took place in that moment?
So it was kind of like a gut feeling, but also like a presence beside me being like, you know, listen to what you're feeling inside, like listen to that gut feeling, like bring me back to that feeling. Because I feel like sometimes when I get a gut feeling, it's like, am I being paranoid or is this like actually happening? And yeah, it was just more of a feeling of someone being there to be like, listen to that gut feeling, like don't think too much of it, like it's definitely something, like don't think it's not anything.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's awesome.
Cool.
I like the shared experience because you're able to tell people what it felt like or how it happened, right? Because a lot of people out there don't always have that interaction or haven't had that experience or haven't felt their spirit guide. So I thank you for sharing. And thank you for calling in. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I didn't want to sit there and type all this up. So.
That's why we keep the phone handy, because really, who wants to type paragraphs?
I do have a question for you now. After you discovered the outcome of this, that there was an accident and stuff, what went through your mind?
I think one was like shock and to make sure like my brother was okay and everything, but it was like kind of like an eye-opening moment of like, okay, you get these feelings for a reason, you've gotten them before for a reason and you haven't necessarily listened to them, so maybe this happened for a reason. Pay attention to what the outcome could be if you don't listen to your gut or listen to your spirit guide.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's very cool.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going to hang up. Thanks for calling, Jen.
No problem.
All right, talk to you in a bit. Bye.
All right, so that was Jen's example, and I'm going to get back to Melissa's here in a moment, but I really had a nice recognition of another experience that we had. Did you want to put something in?
I wanted to ask everyone out there, did you hear the call? Did you hear what Jen was retelling? I just want to know how that call went for the people on here listening. That's all.
Lots of questions.
Yeah,
Nobody's
so why don't we
commenting on
just-
it not working, so it looked like, well, it gives me
catch up
goosebumps.
first and then
I'm going
you
to say
can-
everybody heard it just fine. That reminded me of a situation that we had in the shop a few years back. We've always had the belief that you have a spirit guide guardian that facilitates and helps out at the shop. And in one particular instance, a very angry individual tried to come into the shop and was incapable of getting more than a foot or two past the threshold, and then eventually got frustrated and left. And it was very much one of those moments where it's like, there's no logical explanation how this could have happened if it weren't for something preventing him from getting past. And
we've had customers, one in particular, who have
Acknowledged
come in
him.
and acknowledged and met this individual. But it's funny because I don't classify that as a
it's a little
spirit
different.
guide.
It's different.
Right? It's a family member who has passed away, and we've talked about him before on here with one of our other live shows, videos, socials, sorry.
Yep.
So I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily classify that as a spirit guide, but I guess you guys would.
I'd consider that because it's a very familiar energy, and I would have no hesitations if I had, and I guess I do in my own ways, have those connections to ancestors that I would look to for advice, counsel, suggestion, just that soul connection again.
We've actually done, we hold spirit board nights in here, and we had the paranormal team in here a few years back. Not something Jeremy and I really do a lot of, the whole paranormal investigation aspect. We have a different outlook on it. But the paranormal team actually picked up some things from this specific individual who had been in the shop. That was to the point that the paranormal team didn't understand what was being said on their voice box.
But you got it.
But I knew instantly what was going on. Yeah. And I asked a couple other questions, and the only thing was they referred to me as Linda instead of Melinda. But the connection there is my mother's name is Linda. We look identical, and he would have known me when I was younger, so the age of 13, where he would have known my mom then at the age of 40, 45 years old, which is me now. So the connections were pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
First time I've actually enjoyed a paranormal investigation.
Anyways, it's
yeah,
not typically your thing.
That's not typically my thing. So
all right, let me just backtrack a little bit. Yep, you guys are going faster than I can go, and that's awesome. I love it. Melissa, just to catch up here about the difference of your butterflies versus your wolf. Don't get too hung up on it. Allow the flexibility to allow you to connect in multiple ways. See the profoundness of what is happening with the butterflies. Feel the attraction with the wolf spirit that comes in your dreams. There is no one versus the other. It's all the same. Different properties, different characteristics, different attributes. You wouldn't send a butterfly out to go fight your fight. So draw from the strength of the wolf, but allow for the freedom and flexibility of the butterfly. So there's a lot of ways you could look at it.
Butterflies are all about transformation and change, Melissa, which you have been going through a lot of that. So keep that in mind.
Yep, lots of comments on the crows. Yes, I would love to have a pet crow. It is illegal, but there's nothing to say that you cannot seduce them into becoming friends with you, and that's not uncommon if you treat them with they love ground beef and meats and things like that. So if you have lots of crows in your area, they're very intelligent, very smart. So you can befriend them, but you cannot hold them captive. That's illegal here in Ontario. That being said, doesn't mean that they won't become friends with you. Just ask
Amy
kind of meditation.
And Elizabeth have
you got little conversations going on
love
there.
It.
Definitely.
You guys didn't
communicate
know each
away.
other until you jumped on the social together, so keep up those friendships. I absolutely love this. So Charmaine, how can I increase my communication with my spirit guides?
Yeah, I actually got a little tip for you about that at the end. Sure. But just go ahead and elaborate on.
No, I was just going to say by adding correspondences in.
Sure.
Spell work, other correspondences as well would enhance the communication between you and your spirit guide. But if you're going to tap into that, I
got a little tip for you. I think that could be a lot of fun. A little ritual that you guys can work if this is something you want to do.
So at the end of this broadcast, we will go with that.
Yep, definitely. But yeah, there's multiple ways that you can wind up in communication with spirits. I shared that little example with my uncle and the recognition of the cardinal. I look at that as being a form of spirit communication. There was no actual message. It was more of a feeling of, boy, wouldn't Grandma be proud? Wouldn't Grandma just appreciate the connection that we shared as uncle and nephew in this moment, having done something? And that was a very warm and fulfilling feeling. It wasn't emotionally gushy or anything. It was just like, wow, that was profound and amazing. That's spirit communication. That just happened. If you wanted to actively go into that sort of thing, it's really about opening your eyes and your mind. But then whether it's through dream work, whether it's through scrying with mirrors or crystal balls, automatic writing. There's so many different methods for connecting with spirit guides. You just have to pick something that appeals to you, and that's why I've created a little ritual spell that you can try out and see if you like it.
Nice.
We're getting some chuckles over the upper management of
Yes.
the echelons of heavenly.
It's because we're watching Superstore right now on Netflix, so he's all about the whole management. Yeah.
Actually, no, that wasn't what inspired
okay.
that. No, well, maybe on a very
Okay.
subconscious
We just
level.
watched it this morning.
No,
so-
we did. But no, it was. Yeah, it was a different idea that I was thinking of, but that's okay. Dragonflies around all summer long. We're recognizing that this is very much a thing, and we encourage you to look at that. Spirits connected to me that were negative, had to get rid of them because they were trying to lead me down a dark path. Yes, that is, well, we discussed
That would
this
be
before.
spirits.
Yep.
Maybe not spirit guides.
Not
but
spirit
yeah.
guides, but spirits. And again, my take is that we always have the energy is all around us. It's how we work with it that allows us to navigate through what we would look at or classify as positive or negative, etc. But yeah, once you start down those slopes, it can be very challenging to right the ship again.
I think we'll do that as a social one day. The whole paranormal spirits, that conversation, because it's
Angels and demons,
yeah.
energies, black
Yeah.
white witchcraft, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Everybody heard it
Amazing,
clear.
heard
Yep.
it. Awesome.
Hi, Colton. Sorry,
Hey,
we're just
Colton.
catching up to you now. Hopefully you're
loud
enjoying
and, clear.
and catching
Thank
up.
You.
Yep, loud and clear, loud and clear. Elizabeth, were you at that spirit board night?
Not
Not that one? It was a different one?
I don't know. Were you at this shop, Elizabeth, or were you at the Peel Street store?
Well, mind you, we did like 5 of them at the Peel Street store.
Right, but for some reason I think she was at this one here.
I think so, and that would have been with a different paranormal group, but yeah, it's still fun.
Yeah.
They've all been pretty cool. We've had some unusual and unique insights with that.
I'm curious as to what Karen...
They remember you, crows.
Oh,
Smart
okay.
friends,
Yep.
crows are amazing.
We've
We were
heard
talking
this.
at Christmas time with a
Yeah.
friend who had actually befriended a crow, found a baby crow, and it was mom had died or something. I forget the exact story as to how they bonded, but he wound up feeding it like chicken gizzards and stuff, and they were like BFFs. He would ride around on his shoulder all the time, and he'd ride his bike into town, and the crow would fly with them to a point, to the river point, and then it would sweep up and go back home. So
Yeah.
this crow was very much a free living, free range, but just lived with them and came and went within the house and the backyard and all this sort of stuff. And loved shiny bobbly bits. So yeah, if you want to put sparkly things in your on your property to attract them, they love that. And then feed them with some raw meats and things like that. They'll appreciate you, and they'll love you forever.
No problem with the question, Charmaine. We actually
Yep,
love
nope,
that.
bring
Keeps
it on.
Keeps the conversation going, and it honestly lets us think outside the box sometimes.
Jen says she's planning on adding her spirit guides to her moon ritual now. Never thought of doing that.
Nice.
Thank you. No, why not? Absolutely, right? Even if for no other purpose than to, I mean, we shared this earlier. It's like, when's the last time you just truly appreciated magic with no agenda? Why not invite your spirit guides, the things that have guided you throughout your life, for no other purpose than to show gratitude and appreciation for the moments that you've had with them? Why not? Why wouldn't they appreciate that?
So for you guys out there with the moon rituals,
Yes.
we've tasked our MECs to create their own moon rituals for the year 2021. They each get to pick a moon or a full moon and then create a ritual surrounding it. So that's what Jen's talking about. We were working the other day on it. So I'd love to hear more, Jen, how you're going to incorporate your spirit guide. I think that's fantastic.
All right. Elizabeth says it was on Peel Street.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It probably was that one.
Probably was the same one. It was after everybody went home. We were all just kind of sitting around doing our thing.
Graham says you can get a permit to raise a crow. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Nice.
I know for falconry you can get permits for red-tailed hawks and falcons, short-shinned hawks, things like that. But it's a lot of work. In a different life, I would be all over that. But I would not be able to truly appreciate a red-tailed hawk at this stage in my life.
We have enough birds.
Yeah.
We have enough birds.
And
they're
not really enough time.
Yeah, they're special.
Yeah.
They're weird birds.
Yeah. Yeah, special.
Birds. They're special birds.
Yeah, got it. I wasn't sure what kind
They
of
like
special you meant. Yeah.
Special.
Meep's
like,
a little weird.
Them. We love them. They're weird and they're special birds.
Meep's a wall licker. Yeah, he's a very unusual bird. I think he may have slammed into the window a few too many times. But,
okay.
No, getting off track here.
Yeah.
All right. So I did bring up a couple points here about spirit guides. 10 different tips to help you connect with spirit guides. This isn't the ritual idea, but I just I had some thoughts about it basically, so I jotted them down. That's it for my notes today. Well, yesterday's notes at that. Today was really easy. We just had to go off of what we intended on talking about yesterday. So 10 tips to help you connect with your spirit guides. Ambiance. Set a mood or an atmosphere conducive for that purpose. We encourage a lot of people. That's the whole purpose of having altars and things like that as well. It's putting a little time and intention into what you want to do, what you want to connect with. So create the ambiance, the mood, and the atmosphere that you would honor your spirit guide with. Treat it as their space as well. Work your intention. As we know, intention is the root and basis of most of magic. So honestly, work your intention, focus, and be specific as to what it is that you're trying to do, whether it's connect with your spirit guide for the first time, create your spirit guide, maintain an ongoing communication or energy around your spirit guide. Whatever your intention is, work that intention strongly. Create the energy around it, and then make that work. Number 3 is be patient in your practice, in your process. A lot of people get frustrated and disenchanted when things don't go the way they want them to. Give it some time. It's no different than learning how to ride a bicycle. You didn't just hop on and go with it. It probably came with some bumps and bruises, scrapes, uncertainties, hesitations. But through deliberate, intentional work, you manage to learn how to ride a bicycle. The same can be true for connecting with your spirit guides.
And everyone's stories are unique to their own personal journey. So don't take someone else's story and expect the same thing's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Being patient is very much an important part of that journey. Relax and breathe. I guess it's closely related to be patient, but yeah, take that moment to I look at intentional breath as a stopping everything that I was doing before and starting new with what I'm doing now. So take those deep breaths, those deep cleansing breaths to oxygenate your blood and to get that energy moving and flowing, and look at it as a transition between what was into what is going to be. Relax and breathe. Number 5 was call in for backup. Cleanse and clear your energy, and whatever that's going to be, whether you burn some sage or smudge or something like that, ritual showers, cast a circle. It's really about backing up the energy that you're looking for, creating a safe and sacred space to work out of. Another thought I had for this on a closely related level, we're solitary practitioners. We would do this all privately and on our own. But if you have a circle of brothers or sisters, circle members, coven members that would support you and encourage you with this, don't be afraid to spend some time with them and say, listen, this is the intention I'm setting. Will you sit with me as I try and do this? Will you sit with me as I try and connect? And maybe they can lend some encouragement and some support, even just by solidarity, by being there with you. And if you have that privilege, then by all means, tap into it. If not, if you're solitary, then it's all up to you, but that's okay, because it's going to be pure and true just as much as anything else. So relax and breathe was number 5, but number 4. Number 5 was call in for backup. Listen is number 6. Listen, that's a key one.
It's a tough one.
Yep, but it's all about the vibrational qualities of sound as well. Not just listening to your spirit guides, but create the energy that you want as well. Things like chanting, sound frequencies, binaural beats, these are all great practices and methods to help get us into a different frame of mind. So listening, there's there's the importance of going out into the woods and listening to the environment around you. It changes everything. It changes the tendencies of your own frequencies. So if you're going to be more open and susceptible to spirit communication, you have to be listening first. And you can create the energy that you're looking for by chanting, speech, programmed audio things. It's not hard.
I just had a thought.
Oh.
Yeah. Just because you said outdoors in nature. Would you guys consider things like fairies, sprites, outdoor mythological creatures to be spirit guides? Just going to put that question out there.
Why would it be any different than angels?
Just asking them.
Sure. Yeah. Number 7, transition through the door. The idea behind this is a lot of times what we do is we sit and wait for our spirit guides to come to us.
Yes.
If you are an active meditator or active pursuant to the spirit communication, that may come easier. I love your philosophy that the universe meets us halfway. It requires action on our parts. Sometimes the spirit guides are sitting there and we have to actually pass through our realm into their realm through whatever you're comfortable with, whether it's meditation, etc. If you are actively transitioning into their area, to their zone of control, I believe that in some cases we're highly rewarded for our efforts. No different than meeting the universe halfway. Sometimes we have to put that effort out. Don't just sit on your can and wait for your spirit guide to come to you. Put some effort into making that connection. And in some cases, it's about transitioning through the door. All right, number...
I like that.
That's pretty cool,
I do like that one. That's probably my favorite out of all of these.
Now, on the other side of that is extend the invitation. So
yes.
If you are transitioning, going through the door, that's all very well and good. But if you are choosing to be the receiver in this area, entertaining the idea of the spirit communication coming to you, set the table, extend the invitation, open up and share, allow them to be welcome in your life and space, whether that's setting aside a ritual area for them.
Like an altar.
Oh, I love the voodoo tradition where there's a glass of water for you and a glass of water for your ancestors, for your spirits.
We do this at our dumb supper, table set for our ancestors, table set for us, food set for them. So,
they are the honored guest in that seating. Why not? And if you make it a situation where you are inviting them, it makes it easier for them to come through the door to you, to connect with you. Even if it's like the table's set and now I'm going to bed and I'm hoping that the communication can take place, there's all sorts of ways that you can work with the energy around that.
Even
that
a little token of appreciation or value on an altar or your side table, your bedside table, your dresser, anything like that. Just showing them you're opening the door to that that experience.
Number 9 is allow yourself to feel subtle shifts in energy. If you've been with us for a while, you know how much we've been talking about energy. If you know yourself, you would know the energy that's going on around you. If there's a shift in energy, then all of a sudden something's changed, whether it's just the awareness that you have in your own mind or something else is there. We shared the experience of a friend of ours who was talking about her meditation the other day and feeling the energy, the strong presence of something there with her, nurturing, providing, connecting with her, and that was a shift in the energy, and that's amazing.
So this is a difficult task, though, as well, because day-to-day trials and tribulations in life just gets in the way.
Sure.
And we're so overwhelmed with what's going on around us that we forget to have those moments, to pay attention to those moments.
And I believe in today's society, we are just bombarded nonstop with stimulation, with energy, with information. I mean, we've just upgraded from 2.4 hertz to 5 with our internet connection. So you can't tell me that we don't feel that heightened energy all around us. And we've talked quite a bit recently about how much we miss the country, the solitude of the backyard, and the freedom to just go out and within 2 steps be a huge immersion into all of nature, and that's pretty amazing. So that was number 9, allow yourself to feel subtle shifts in energy. And number 10, ask for signs, messages, or blessings. Don't be afraid to put that out there. Look for something. It's like the throwing out of the fleece, throwing the fleece out within the Christian principle. my suggestion with that is be careful that you're not always demanding or always looking for that agenda or that confirmation. We find this happens a lot with magic. I've hit my thresholds where I've kind of frustrated the universe with prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. And they're like, how many times do you want me to prove this? How many times do you want to show you that magic exists? Now you're just annoying me. And that's usually where everything just kind of stops. And then I'm like, oh, right. I already know this all along. Why am I always looking for that confirmation? So if you're doubtful, if you're uncertain, don't be afraid to ask for a little bit of sign, a little bit of confirmation that what you know, but don't be so reliant upon that you miss out on the power that you know what you know.
Just believe. That's what magic is. Just believe.
So those are the 10 points that I had. And the one other thing I wanted to mention is always come back from all of these experiences, any of these experiences that you have, always make sure that there's a attitude of gratefulness and respect going around it. Because let's be honest, it's a privilege to be able to have this. It's a privilege to be blessed with spirit communication of any kind. And if you are disrespectful in that way, I would say that could possibly strain the relationship that you have with the divine source.
Do you want to just catch up?
Yeah, let's catch up on some of these.
There's just a few comments made, so catch up a little.
Where are we at? Graham's opinion of the cardinal coming back to say I'm okay and I still love you. A lot of people draw from that strength, and I have no problems with that at all. Around here, they're rare. So if it stands out, I'd say if it really catches your attention, if it's like, wait a second, then I'd suggest that could be it. Yep.
Hello? Hi. How are ya? I'm good. Don't put you on live? Okay, I'm just going to step away from the camera. Okay.
I'll carry on with some of the notes here. Things will come up when you're supposed to have them. You may not be ready yet and need to work through things first. Karen says that, things will come up when you're supposed to have them. Sometimes I would look at spirit communication as like a precursor to knowledge that's going to be gleaned. I've had similar experiences. I wouldn't necessarily classify it under spirit communication, where it's like something's caught my attention, which made me aware, which made me a little more observant, which kept me safe and protected. So was that spirit communication? Was it my subconscious picking up on something? So sometimes things come up when you're supposed to have them. You might not be completely ready, and things need to happen and fully come to light before you fully understand how it works. No different than Jen sharing the experience where something told her not to get into the car. It didn't make sense until later. Jen, I think mystical creatures can be guides. It depends on what you're into and what you believe in. That's pretty much confirming what we think and believe as well. Who doesn't love them, some fairies? Linda, we have that on November 1st. We light candles and leave food on the table for souls. It's called Souls Day in Estonia. Yeah, we share a similar. 2nd November, we look, for us, Samhain is the holiday. It's the cycle and the wheel of the year. It's our new year typically. And for us, Samhain happens between October 30th to November 2nd. Anywhere in there, we have the flexibility to do that. That for us is when the veil is the thinnest, and that's where we have the most natural ability to connect with spirit guides. Spirit communication can take place, things like that. So we always do here in the shop through Samhain, the practice of Halloween and Samhain rituals. We always host a I just completely blanked here. A dumb supper, and it's not dumb stupid, it's dumb mute. So it's a 2-hour meal that's served backwards. So we start with the dessert. I think every meal should be done this way anyways, but we start with dessert, then we move into the main course, then a salad, then a soup, and then the amuse-bouche to wrap it all up. And during this whole process, this whole ritual of the dumb supper, you sit at the table, and there is a table setting for the spirits to come through, and right directly across from you is a candle and a scrying mirror, and then you are, because you're mute and silent throughout the entire meal, you are very much heightened in all of your other senses. You smell things, you taste things as you're eating and smelling the food, but then other energy is around you as well. You hear things, you feel things, you see things moving around through the scrying mirrors and out of the peripherals of your eyes and things like that. It's been always a very powerful experience. I'm usually in the kitchen cooking, so I kind of miss out on it, but we've had some amazing experiences with that. Colton asks the question, can Oracle and Tarot help to communicate with spirit guides? I believe so. I believe that when I read Tarot, it is me getting out of my own ego and recognizing the message that I already kind of know or should know. I just sort of put myself outside of it and allow the message to come through. So the magic I can't explain when it comes to stuff like this. I have a lot of people ask me this. I don't necessarily look at it as something is laying the cards out in the way they are. But that's the only part I can't explain when it comes to tarot. It's 78 cards, upright, reversed. It's knowledge of all of these cards and what they mean, what they represent. And really it comes down to me interpreting the cards. What I can't explain, what I can't make sense of, which I've just had to let go and trust, is why the 10 cards that are on top of the deck, whether I chose them or somebody else chose them, are always appropriate and true for that person. And that's uniquely profound. So yes, I would say something divine, something on a spiritual nature is enlightening us and filling us in on the information. But the fact that it's always accurate and true and exactly what that person needs to hear is profound and baffles me still. I don't get lost in that. I love it. I think it's amazing. And there's usually a recognition of the truth throughout that whole process for me as well. So yes, oracle cards, tarot cards can help communicate with spirit guides, but I think essentially it is important to remember that these are still, at the end of the day, just tools. There's nothing supernatural or spiritual about the tools themselves. They just help us to connect with the things that are true and spiritual. Does that make sense? I hope that answers your question there. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little idea, a little suggestion here, and continue to weigh in if you like. If you have more things that you'd like to talk about, you can type that up and send it across to us. Melinda's on the phone right now. But yeah, I would encourage you to still communicate with us. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest an idea here for a little ritual or a spell that you can do tonight if you want it, or any other time that's convenient for you, to encourage spirit communication. So what you'll need is a space for both of you to drink in. Sorry, hang on 1 second. Sorry, I'm back. I can't listen and talk at the same time. Okay, so what you need is a space to be able to do this in, whether it's in your temple space or in front of your altar or in your bedroom. A space basically big enough for yourself plus the energy that you're looking to bring in. Again, whether it's something that you really wish to connect with, like an ancestor, just a sentient being of some sort, whatever it is that you want to bring in, you want that space. 2 white candles, a bell or a chime of some sort, 2 cups of tea, so 2 teacups plus enough tea to be able to provide tea for 2, a pen and a notebook. And if you have things that you want to set up, like an altar, put some crystals out, burn some incense, anything like that, by all means. Remember, the first step that we had for the ideas of connecting is really about creating an energy or an environment where this is conducive. Feathers are very symbolic of spirit guides, so if you've got any feathers laying around, that's a nice thing you can put out as well. So the method is create the space, obviously, that you'd want to work out of. The day or the season, that's completely up to you. I'm encouraging you to do it at any given time. If you want to work around correspondences such as moon phases or times of the week, times of the day, whatever, by all means, you can explore that on your own. But honestly, you find the time that you want best for you. So pick the space, pick the time, the energy around that, clean it, make it your own, and then, set it all up. Light the 2 candles, 1 for you, 1 for the spirit guide. Make 2 cups of tea, 1 for you, one for the spirit guide. This is very similar to the dumb supper idea that we've been talking about. Once you've created the space, the energy, the altar, whatever it is that you're going to be working around, you've created the invitation for the spirit guide to come in. You've provided them with sustenance of some sort, the libation of the tea. The next step would be to go to a window or a door with the bell, ring it, and say, "Spirit guide, I invite you tonight to join me for a drink." If you wanted to use something other than tea, you could. My concern would only be that with maybe alcohol, things like that, it might kind of loosen the mind a little bit. It might relax you a little bit, but it might take you to a place where you're not completely aware either. So it's up to you. So spirit guide, I invite you tonight to join me for a drink, or something of that nature, anything that you're comfortable with, anything that you're familiar with, and basically extend the invitation. Ring the bell again and make your way to the table. Then get comfortable, enjoy your tea, and then put yourself into a mindset of communication with your spirit guide, whether it's literally by communicating out loud, maybe your thoughts, your ideas, your intention, but then remember there needs to be a listening component to this as well. So if you find that you're visually distracted by things in your room or whatever, close your eyes and just allow your mind to freely roam. This is where the notepad and the paper, the pen and the paper come in handy. Automatic writing. Whatever you hear, you don't even have to open your eyes to write it down. Just jot the thoughts down that come your way. Pose it in the way of a question or a communication. As a thought comes in, respond to it, and then see what comes back to you. If you make this just a little bit of a ritual, a little bit of a practice, you'd be amazed what kind of insights might come through. Yes, when you're finished your drink, set down the cup, open your eyes. Important to give some gratitude, some thankfulness. Even if nothing happened, remember that patience is a key factor to this as well. Even if you've extended the invitation and you don't feel that any energy has come through, remember there might be that act of diligence that they're watching for, that they want to see that you're determined, that you're motivated to do this. And sometimes that sacrifice of having to extend the invitation a few times before things start to roll. So show gratitude, show appreciation, and blow out the candle. Now, I would encourage you as well, once this ritual is done, especially if you're doing it before bedtime, always be aware of your dreams if possible afterwards too, because sometimes that communication can continue carrying on into our sleep states, into our dreams as well. So have some fun with that. Let me know if this is something you try. Let me know what the outcome is, what kind of experiences come your way. What your results were in the practice of doing this. Again, as we say with all magic, make it your own, make it personal. So if you're not a tea drinker, but maybe a little glass of wine before bed is always your practice, just encourage that, extend that invitation to a spirit guide to come your way. Or even if it's just a glass of water or whatever, what you're doing is you are inviting that energy to you. And as I mentioned before, if you have to be the one to actually transition, to go through that door, if while you're meditating, you're thinking, and you feel like the idea is that you need to take those steps forward, don't be afraid to allow yourself the opportunity to explore beyond the scope, the imagination of your mind, and to see what kind of journey that you might wind up along. I would encourage you to feel safe and certain and secure in that action. I think you'd be fine with that. For our MEC members, our witches out there, if you feel like casting a circle for this purpose, you certainly can, but I think that it's something that you could explore without the circle as well. What do you do with the spirit guide's tea when you're done with the ritual? It's a great question. There is no right or wrong. You could drink it yourself. You could pour it outside as a libation to the energy that is all around us. My practice would be to dispose of it outside. They might not have actually been able to drink the tea. Obviously, that never happens. It's not like I suddenly realize that the food at the dumb supper is missing because the spirits ate it, but then we can take that offering outside and feed it to the animals and the spirits of the outdoors. That's a great practice. If you're a little more frugal, if your Scottish ancestry says, "Oh, don't waste that, laddie," then eat it down yourself. There's nothing wrong with that either.
I will, for sure.
Okay. Any other questions there? that's all I had for my notes. And yeah, you're all done on the phone.
I'm good.
You
yeah.
missed it. I'll have to fill you all in.
That's okay. I
But-
can come back and say goodbye, right?
It's pretty cool. Of course you can.
Are
Yep.
you done?
No, we're not. Well, we're done.
Hi, guys.
I've run out of things to say, so it's whatever you want to say at this
No,
point.
it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
We've monopolized their time long enough.
Yep. Yep.
It was
So
a good session today.
yeah, if you add up all the time that we took yesterday and then the time today, that's a big workshop.
That's
it's
a
big,
good lengthy
Yeah.
discussion on spirit guides.
Yeah. Oh, if there's no milk in it, you can put it on your plants. We were talking about what to do with the tea after the ritual or the food that you
okay.
lay out
Yeah.
for
Hey,
if you're
Nancy!
inviting. Yep. As long as there's no milk in it, you can put it on your plants. Apparently, milk is not good for plants.
Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
You know I kill everything. I'm better with dry
Yep.
plants.
Yep.
Dried herbs, dried plants.
We talked about this in a previous
Yes.
workshop. It's we give her flowers, she hangs them up. Okay, yeah, she'll fill me in afterwards, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you called. Thank
Yeah.
you for calling.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys. You can continue the dialogue. You can keep sharing. We will catch up with our comments and suggestions afterwards, of course.
I'm a little behind.
Yeah.
I am.
That's okay.
I was frustrated yesterday, so
Yep.
I probably won't comment on those ones from yesterday. I was pretty frustrated.
But we will catch up with the ones from today. So,
Yes.
Yep, we're going to wrap up for today. But thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, share. Keep chatting away. It's
Send
all
us
about
some
the
more
social.
topics. This was a great one.
That's cool.
Blessed be, guys. I love you and have a great afternoon.
Take care.